Let's stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd be close to the microphone if that, Terry. Close to the microphone.
It's too loud. I'm glad y'all made it tonight. Some of the folks obviously didn't like the weather and they stayed home. We'll just call them sissy boys or something like that, you know, if you can't handle the weather. Probably guys that don't drink coffee black didn't show up, you know. Anyway, I want to welcome, do we have anybody here tonight that are guests for the first time? I don't see anybody that I don't recognize, so. Okay, good. Well, what we'll do to get started here, so Bob and I have a lot we want to share with you guys and get to that. So why don't we start, I'll start over here and just pass this down and your name, your call sign, and if you want to share anything, go for it.
Russell, KG7, RAK, Gooding.
Ken, AF6 QA, Ian Quinn.
Bob, K6 UDA, Curry.
Jim, W7OUU, Twin Falls.
Stan, K7NZF, and just south of Hollister.
John, N7DKH, Kimberly.
Kelly, KK7DB, Kimberly.
Gene, KA3, JKB, Twin Falls.
Ron, W7, LVG, Buell.
Rich, KK7, RPW, Buell.
At K6BFR, west of Buell.
Paul, K7WJG, KJ7WLG, Kimberly.
Nathan Heyer, N8HYR, in Filer. I just quick note, just recently got an AAR, grant, so I can go back there to get some more education to help teach, hopefully get some radios into the middle schools over here, so.
Matt, JK7, JGK, right here in Clinton.
RD, K7BIN, and Fire.
Kelly, K7SU, beautiful downtown Curry.
And Mike, AI7EG, Twin Falls.
Paul, AF7ZB, Twin Falls. Oh, and if anyone else wants to get in the half pot, let me know. Raise your hand.
Gordon, AA7TQ, and Twin Falls.
And I'm Terry, KJ7RAR. So, I always want to do JK to the KJ. John.
Oh, no, I'm just waving at Gordon, he's moving the camera around.
Yeah.
That's
So
waving at everybody out there.
Is anybody online?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, our next meeting, club meeting will be June 10th. And our presentation will be Jeremy, he'll have that robotics thing that him and the kids were working on, so he'll be here with that. So let's give them a good turnout. We're still looking for volunteers and ideas. Right now, I've got Jeremy for
I
next.
think Matt needs to do one on ATAC and mesh tasking.
Let me, at least I've got a big vacation going up, so. Let me get through that, then I'll spend some money and get it all. I got a couple of these things I gotta tie out together, but I will, yeah.
Do I hear an excuse for something? I mean.
You know why? I mean, you gotta just a long vacation, although you don't get to spend money.
That was the longest FU
Well, we need.
Wants the vacation and all the things and
Yeah.
that's a lot of money, man.
It is coming this summer. So if anybody has anything that they would like to share, or present, we need it. Otherwise, right now I only have Jeremy coming up next month. That's it. And so unless you want me to do some sermons up here, you better find somebody to come up with something.
Guess we can all start
So-
bringing in.
So what you're saying is sooner than later?
Yeah, sooner, yeah. Anyway, hey, y'all remember this Friday is the spring party. And right now we have, I think I got two more. I think we have actually 50 people coming to the party this Friday. This is the most we've had in the years I've been here, so it's really kind of exciting. And just in case you didn't remember, we're meeting at the, we can't do the airport this year because of health reasons from the owner and some stuff like that. So it was really, actually it worked out really well. I belong to a ham fishing club, fly fishing club. And we met there on Tuesday before our Thursday. And so I was talking with the gal that owns the place, and I said, well, what do you do here? You sell, you have weddings and all these things. So we talked, and and so that Thursday, that was Tuesday, Thursday at lunch, the owner came up to me and said, we can't do it. I'm sorry, because I'm, anyway, she told me she couldn't do it. I'm going, great, trying to find a place this quick, where we could afford and all that. And so it just hit me, the barn. So I called her up and she said, sure. And so it worked out. We're doing it differently this year. And that's just the way it is. Instead of ordering your salmon or your steak or your whatever, we have three things they're gonna have. They're gonna have some kind of a pork roast or pork something, salmon, and then some kind of a steak. It won't be a filet mignon, but it'll be a steak, and the mashed potato, dessert, and everything. You'll get water for free. If you want drinks, you can pay for that at the bar. But it's funny. At the bar, they have a bar.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't stay there the whole time. You have to come back. But anyway, and it's $25. And of course, a tip will be added, just give a tip according to what you want to do. It's not added in, like at the airport, it's added, included in the charge, but there it's not. So be $25, just write a check or whatever, however you pay for it after, huh? Yes, yeah. And so the doors will be open for seating 6 o'clock, and we start eating about 7, give or take. And we'll have some tickets on sale for our drawings. And we have 2 $100 gift cards and 1 $300 gift card for HRO. Yeah, HRO. So you can call it, and add that to whatever you want to do. So again, it's this Friday, and it's
There's also an FTM 400.
Yes, I have a few things here. I asked Kelly if he would get there early with me and set it apart, because I'm not sure what goes with that set.
There will be offered this, just as,
Read the whole box?
No.
Okay, we'll talk later. Because I know there's more than just the radio in there, so I gotta separate it. But there's some other things that Jim donated to the thing. So we'll be doing that also. That'll be part of it. Anything else? Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
You have to be present to win the drawings.
Well,
Jeremy said no.
Because unfortunately, I wind up getting out of town just right.
yeah,
Last time I
I'm
asked,
sure-
there was that.
yeah, I'm sure that won't be a problem did you buy the tickets already?
No. I wanted to find out the answer before I bought the tickets.
Okay, no, I'm sure if you're part of the club here, if you buy it, we'll make sure that you get it. Yeah,
I think that's what he said. Don't quote me. I thought he said club members do club members. We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You guys remember?
yeah.
We'll get you on the camera there, John.
Huh?
We'll get you on the camera saying that.
Okay, the emphasis, club members.
Yeah, so that won't be,
That's what he said.
We just didn't want to have to end up killing a bunch of stuff.
yeah, so that'll be a problem. That'll be a problem, so just whenever you get the tickets. Are you still on tickets tonight? You're not, right?
No, they're all online.
Well, you just have to, if he buys stuff, you're gonna have to write his name on the back, so we know when we pull it out, it's his. Otherwise, we won't know who it belongs to. So.
Jeremy's handling all.
Is he handling the tickets?
Jeremy knows
You
about
buy them
tickets.
online, okay? At the event, we will be selling tickets.
Yeah, this is Jeremy's last year following through on that. After that, Paul will be doing it, so,
I'll go through the online.
okay, yeah.
Because Jeremy's been sending out a email to all the club members twice a week saying, buy your tickets.
Right,
And with all the information about,
Yeah,
where to go to, online to buy them and how much they are and everything.
and whenever we do a transition in the board of directors, there's always a little bit of a hiccup here and there, so we'll get it. And this year we have new vice president, it's John over there.
Sir?
Are you paying attention now? I said their new vice president is John over there.
Oh.
You did know that, right? You remember?
Yeah.
Okay. And our new treasurer is
I've already.
Paul. And
Yeah, it'll be all right.
who's the other
Keep me on the bridge.
treasurer? And then we oh yeah, and Gene is the
Charger.
New guy.
he's the what do they call that?
At large or the?
No.
Administrative assistant.
Oh, that's,
Anyway, he's part of it. So
Secretary.
secretary, thank you. I couldn't think of that. And he wears a blonde wig whenever he's operating in that role. Well, we want to get started because we have a lot to talk about tonight, and Bob and I are going to try to present this. And it was interesting because Bob and I talked about this last month, and what we wanted to talk about and what we wanted to do. And one of the things dealt with any kind of solar flares and all that stuff, which was amazing because we just had some of that this weekend.
Yeah.
And we thought that was interesting. And so he and I have been doing a little bit of trying to catch up on what's it all about and everything. So what we want to talk about, I know that if you mention the name prepping, a lot of people get all, well, I don't want to be a prepper and all that. But yeah, it's amazing. Even the news are talking about how many people are starting to prepare, and they call themselves preppers. And I don't really see myself as a prepper. I just see myself as trying to prepare for something that might happen. And one thing that, we all ham radios here and we operate and all that. And one of the things that we do it for fun. We want to have fun and just get out there and chit chat around the world. And the other thing, at least for me, is if there was ever an emergency, I wanted to be able to communicate and be able to reach out. And one of the things that we need to think about is our equipment vulnerable for any kind of damage if something were to occur and we weren't prepared for it. And that's part of being prepared, and being a prepper is preparing for something that may or may not occur. And it's like a lot of us who carry guns. I was a cop, and then I've carried a gun for most of my life, it seems like. And I thank God that I've never had to use it. Even when I was a policeman, I never had to shoot anybody. I had to pull it quite a few times, but never had to shoot anybody. And I hope to God I never have to hurt anybody with it. But I'm glad to be prepared for something that I may or may not have to use. And so when it comes to our radio equipment and just everything, it really helps us to be prepared of what may or may not occur. And one of the things we do on Tuesday Night Net is when we have a roundtable afterwards, sometimes we talk about prepping. And what we talk about basically, and what I try to do, is try to bring up things that we oftentimes don't think about. Who would think about this? Why would you think about this? If you don't think about it, if you don't have your mind set on something like that, you won't prepare for it. And so these are the kind of things that we need to happen. Right now, we've been talking about EMPs, and I'm hearing more and more about, what can happen. And we think about oftentimes an EMP will happen when somebody sends a missile over here and it explodes somewhere in America, and all kinds of damage like it causes. But what we're talking about is being set up off in the air, anywhere 20 to a couple hundred miles in space there. And that would bring that EMP 1, 2, and 3 onto the Earth and destroy most of the substations, the grids, and our radios and our cars, and you name it. If it has electrical stuff involved in it, especially computer stuff, it's going to be wiped out. Our house, short up our house. And so the thing of it is what can we do to prepare our radio so that we're not having it damaged if something happens? What do I need to do to prepare for it? And what can I do? So we want to talk about that. Some of the scenarios, we think about grid down, and I'm going to give you guys a YouTube thing to take a look at. There's a movie out that's it's not a movie, it's a documentary, and it's called Grid Down, Power Up. Anybody ever heard of that? Grid Down, Power Up. It's a free on YouTube. It's 90 minutes or an hour long, and I really, really encourage you to watch it. This isn't some kids put it together. This is something that's professionally done and very good. And it will help us understand the need to do what we're going to be talking about today. Also, the thing we need to think about is some kind of a solar event. You know, it's interesting because back in, what's the date I got there? I have my notes here, guys, but I have a lot to talk about. 2012, there was a humongous, what do they call that? Something a little different. The coronal mass ejection. You know, it was massive. It would have just destroyed the Earth. But it missed us by about 2 days, you know, in the rotation, it just missed us. If that would have hit us, it would have caused real issues. We've had something for the last few days here, you know, starting last week from the solar flare that could have caused some real damage. And thank God it hasn't. And then we have a thing like the Carrington event. Remember, anybody have heard about the Carrington event?
Yeah.
Most of us have. It's happened in 1859, September. And that caused a lot of damage, even though they didn't have electric wires, they did have telegraph. Thank you. They destroyed the telegraph, injured a lot of the workers and all of that stuff. But one of the big things that we have to think about, and this is something I've been researching, is the cyber attacks. We'll talk about that as we go. But cyber attacks is one of the most serious. And the thing about the EMP and the cyber, an EMP can be shot from anywhere in the world. And they can, and they said that they can be fired from like a submarine and you won't know what nation sent that. You know, like if we saw something coming from China, from Russia, we could respond. But when it's coming out of the middle of the ocean, we don't know who did that. It explodes up in the air. We won't ever figure out who sent that. The damage is there. So who do we attack? Where do we go after as far as America? So those are the kind of things that we want to think about. The cyber attack is something that's going on right now. We'll talk about that. I've got some videos to show you up here in a couple of minutes. But the cyber attack is happening every day, and we'll get into that as we get a little further down the thing here. So the question we want to think about is, what do I need to do to protect my home, family, and what can I do to protect my radio equipment so they can be used if something happens locally in our city or our state, our country? What can I do with it? And I want to give you some things to think about for a minute. And this is what I like to do. I'll throw some things out there and just ask you, have you thought about what happens if? So what happens if the cell service is off? If we have an EMP or anything like that, the cell service will be down and you won't be able to contact. So what kind of radios, what kind of preparation do you have for that? And I'm not going to get into any of these in details. These are just things I wanted you to think about. What happens if the water goes off? If your water gone, and if the electricity, if the grid's shut down, eventually there will be no water coming to your house. What are you going to do when the electricity is off? You know, how are you prepared for that? Have you done anything to prepare for that? Any kind of device, generators or et cetera, what are you going to do if the natural gas is off? And see, all this stuff, most of it operates on electricity. So if electricity goes down, eventually all these things will start shutting down. What are you going to do if the gas stations are shut down because there's no electricity to pump the gas? Do you keep gas in your car? I always keep a full tank. Never let it get below half a tank. It's just something I've always done. The internet isn't working. Electrical grid is down. An EMP has been released in the atmosphere. Solar mass ejection occurred, knocking out the electrical grid. These are things we thought about that. Extreme weather shuts down electricity. So if you've thought about that, we'll talk about that in a minute too. And that's something that's real likely that could and easily happen. Your vehicle won't start. What are you going to do if you go out the garage and we've had an EMP, you need to go get some food, you need to go get some water, and your car won't start? What are you going to do if you're driving back from a vacation and you're down by Las Vegas or somewhere else and your car's dead? How are you going to get home? What are you going to do? How are you going to get home? Nobody's car's working. So that would happen if an EMP goes out. Food shortage. What are you going to do if the food shortage is in the city? You know, most people sadly, honestly, don't have more than a few days to a week's food supply. And with everything that's ever been said, I'm surprised that more and more people don't have at least a month of food tucked away somewhere so that they could get to it. So these are things I just want you to think about. Banks are closed. can't get your money out to buy food. You have cash somewhere. Where the banks switched to digital currency, which they're working to do very diligently. And cyber attacks on the banks, on the water, electrical, wastewater, natural gas, because all those things run on the electricity, and the cyber attacks have already been found out. Yeah, let me get it. Oh, I'll wait and get into it. Violence in the street, homes in your neighborhood are being invaded by unfriendlies. You have stored food and water for emergencies, but your neighbors haven't, and they know you have. So what happens when they start knocking on your door?
Plant food.
Huh? Rent food?
You don't, first off, you don't tell them you should have it. Fish bait.
Somehow they smell that stuff, they know it's there. Your friends and neighbors are in need, and some of you want to help them. How are you gonna do that? What do you do when you need to fulfill prescriptions and there's no prescriptions being filled because the pharmacy isn't giving you any shipment because the trucks are shut down because there's no gas, no electricity? These are all things that we hope to God never happens. Okay, I'm 74 now. And I'm old enough to know that, you know what, this stuff can't happen.
Yeah.
And I do know that, and I pray to God that it never will happen while I'm alive. When I'm gone, not much I can do about it, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it for my kids, my grandkids. I don't want to see it for anybody. But we're living in a world now that's totally different from when I grew up. Totally different. I mean, it is totally different. And I watch these things, I study these things, and so I just see the world is this close to just blowing up and just going crazy. What I watch going on in Israel, and what I watch going on in Russia, Iran, Turkey, all these places, it's just a mess. What's going on in Hamas, with Hamas, y'all know who Hamas is and what they're doing. It's an interesting word, the Hamas, they're Palestinians, and they're really Arabs. They just call themselves Palestinians. But what's interesting is the word Hamas in the Bible, and I'm not preaching, I'm just going to show you something interesting here. The word Hamas in the Bible in the Hebrew is violence. Just thought I'd throw that out. It's interesting how that name hooked onto these guys, but that's quite fascinating. So we need to take seriously the idea that it's possible that in our lifetime, something could happen. And if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, hopefully what you've stored up, your kids can use and can take. So that's good. A real life story that occurred in February of 21, and you probably all know this, is down in Texas. They had a real problem. There was a freeze that just basically took over almost the whole of Texas, dropped it down below what it was. And I watched the whole story on this stuff and how it happened and all the stuff that occurred. And they were within 4 minutes and 37 seconds of having a total grid meltdown, which means it could have been months to half a year or more before they got electricity up and back running again. 4 minutes and 37 seconds from having a total meltdown.
So what they do to fix it?
I did.
Hair dryer out, warm things up.
I don't know what they did, but they stopped. They stopped it from going into that range. They still had no electricity for a while, but at least they stopped it from going bonkers. I want to show one picture here.
Slide one.
Slide one. Yeah. This was interesting. You see that right there? That was inside one of the houses. Now, if you notice, you got a fan, and from the fan you have icicles dangling down. That's how cold and how miserable it was in that location there.
Looks like my wife did.
That's when you look at the picture.
No, that's my.
Okay, I got a question.
That's my ex.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. Where'd the water come from?
Where's the water?
Probably had pipes in the attic.
Pipes over.
Probably
Hey,
had
Daddy.
pipes in there.
You know,
Ice cube.
So the pipes froze at night, thawed in this, and up in the daytime.
Yeah.
As the water
you
flowed.
know what? All I know is there it is. So however it was, wherever it came from, that's where it landed up. So that's interesting. I mean, this is something that could happen to us up here. We gets cold once in a while. I don't know if this will ever happen. I did talk to the Idaho Electric folks. Idaho, is that what they call it? Idaho Power. And I talked to one of the people up in upper echelon, And I said, how is our grid protected here? And he said, I said, do we have anything to protect against EMPs? And he said, no. You know, and this is something that they have discovered. They've already done all the investigation that this is what we need. We need to harden all the substations, the grids, all that. We could do it. It only cost about $1.2 billion, at least back when they did the study. The problem is all the electric companies are privately owned. And they want to say, they say, well, this is not our problem. You know, it's not our responsibility to harden it. It's your problem. Because you see that if the grid goes down, people will die. They say that if the grid goes down for 9 months, that 80% of the people in America would be dead for 9 months from starvation and thirst and all these things. 80% for 9 months if the grid's down, and they're arguing who wants to pay for it. You know, that's not typical government right now, but that's where they're at. You know, I know you guys are aware of what's going on in our country and around the world. We have over 10 million visitors that have decided to make this country their home. They have not been vetted. We don't know who they are. Many of the military age Muslims have come in. Military age Chinese come in. It's kind of interesting when you find out about the Chinese. When they're coming in, they all have suitcases, they stay in tents and they're all taken care of in the places that they have to stay. It's like somebody is helping them get here.
They only flew into Tijuana.
Yeah, these guys are actually, when they go through a town and they're walking in, they have a hotel to stay in when everybody else is sleeping out in the woods. They have places for them to stay. It's as though somebody is working to get all them in by the tens of thousands.
I get a picture, there's over 2 divisions of military age.
Yeah. So
And they're dropping them off here.
what
Yeah.
and so I don't want to get political because that's not what we're here about. But one thing that years ago, when I watched, I was doing a lesson at church and I was seeing all these hundreds of thousands of Muslim immigrants, many of whom are terrorists, for example, going into Germany. And they were there by the hundreds of thousands. And I told my wife, I said, well, that's amazing. They have just taken over Germany without firing a shot. Because all they have to do is Germany says, well, we're going to defend Israel. They'll say, yes, and we will kill you and burn down your country. And you can bet.
They control the votes too.
Yeah,
Give them all
they do.
votes.
So right now, what's it's sad is that in most of the nations that we see that are active, London has a Muslim mayor, and they're like 53% of the country's ethnic are now Muslim. And I could go through all these other countries that are now, instead of the people being like from Denmark, they're the people that have the majority are Muslims from other countries, and they're like 50 to 60, in some places even 70%. And so those countries have all basically been taken over. Now, if we had time and you're interested, I'd talk about the goal of the Muslims, which is not the point of today. But the point is that we are hated by those nations. Iran wants to destroy the little Satan, which is, and you all heard this on the news many times. Israel, the little Satan, and we are the big Satan. And so one of the ways they do it is by infiltrating and then causing small terrorist shots. And that's the thing that we're concerned about, and I'm concerned about, is they have a thing called, for example, a suitcase EMP. Have you ever heard of that? Anybody ever heard of a suitcase EMP? And it's small, and what it does is they would stick it in a grid in a substation there, and they'd blow it, and that thing would be gone, and it would damage much, cause EMP in a large metropolitan area like New York. So cause havoc, and I could see them doing small shots like that. One thing that I haven't mentioned here is that from the year 2010 until 2022, there have been 900 attacks on the grid. Anybody hear of those? You don't hear too many of that. You won't hear them. You'll hear a couple here or there. Like there's one in Metcalf, California in 2014, where somebody came and shot up the transformer, damaged it, and they were able to do some quick moving in order to keep that safe. But let me show you a few things here. Go to number 2. Am I in your way here? Are these pictures here? Here we have the DHS says extremists continue to plot, encourage physical attacks on electricity infrastructure. The terrorists are, extremist terrorists are working to destroy and cause us havoc in this country. Yeah, get off the side. Go to number 3, Wall Street Journal. Number 3. Assault on California power station raises alarm, potential for terrorism. We're starting to see more and more, and these are news articles here. Go to number 4. MSNBC, Russian attackers access controls to energy facilities. And one of the things, you can't see everything on here, but one of the things they said is they've already done it and they're already in there. They're already in the systems and they're saving it up. They've got systems for the water, for the electricity and all these things that at the time that's right, they can just, blow the whistle and things will be set off. Go to number 5, New York Times. Cyber attacks put Russian fingers on the switch at power plants. US says, these are, I put it up here so you could see that I'm not making these up. Number 6, Detroit Free Press, meat processors, cyber attacks, shut down Plainville plant and other across the country. Did you guys notice in the last few years, we've had over 100 meat processing plants just kind of all of a sudden burn up? Fires. Over 100. That's not happened before. You think that's an accident? I can tell you it's not an accident. It's not an accident at all. What number am I on here?
I think you're on 6, maybe going to 7.
Wall Street, go to 7. Okay, here, this is an interesting one. The US could suffer a coast-to-coast blackout if saboteurs knock out just 9 of the country's 55,000 electric transmission substations. 55,000, 9 of them could put us in the dark. And if we don't think that these guys know that there's 9 of them that need to do that, then we're not paying attention. Good 8. Here's the Hill. Federal agencies say dozens of companies breached by Chinese hackers. They have the pipelines for oil and gas that they can shut off or destroy so that we can't get the natural gas or oil. Number 8, cybersecurity news. Chinese state-sponsored hackers have breached 13 US oil and natural gas pipeline companies. And this was done in 21. So these guys are all in our systems and they're just waiting for the right time to be manifested. So we need to see that this is a damage. In 2015 and 16, there was an attack on Ukraine by Russia, the electrical cyber attack, and caused a lot of damage. But they said that it wasn't so bad for them because they're not as advanced as we are in all our electronic gadgets and stuff like that. And their top official says, we don't think this was really for us. We think this was just a rehearsal for America, for when they flip the switch for in America. That's not good. Iran, Russia, China, any of them can send a little balloon over and set off a AMP, or like I said, submarine, or even a satellite. Right now, North Korea has 2 satellites that fly over us daily. And they said that ever since they went up, these are the experts there, said ever since they went up, there had been no transmission from them. So they said either they're dead or they're not ready to be used yet. And so these are the things. The whole point is this, not to scare you, not to say, this is the end. What's saying, let's be prepared. What can we do in case there is an emergency? It was fun. There's a movie, I'm sure you all saw it. What was it called? The 4th of July. It was Independence Day. Thank you, sir. And that big, again, it's fiction. I don't believe this is going to happen. But this big flying saucer folks came and attacked the world. And it was interesting because in the end, what they needed to do in order to get and reach everybody and connect everybody, they used ham and CW and ham. And that's how they were able to connect and get everybody to do something at the same time. And I thought that was fun. So, but these are the things that we just need to prepare for. And I go to the next one. I have a couple things and then keep going again. Meat processors, that's a transformer. It takes a year and a half to get one of those at least. And they have,
Bill also overseas.
and they have to be built and shipped. And the problem with these things too is that, the cyber can be, some of these are coming from China. And they're going to New York and to Las Vegas, and nobody has ever checked to see if there's any backdoor that, these things can be blown up. Go to the next one.
5 countries in the world
Yeah.
that make transport.
This is the movie, it's called Grade Down, it's upside down, Dennis Quaid does it, Power Up. I really encourage you, all you gotta do is write in there, type in YouTube, Grade Down, Power Up, and you'll bring this up. It's free, 80, 90, no, 60 minutes, I think, 50, 60 minutes, go for it. I'm trying to get done because Bob needs to get up here, so go to the next one. I found that, boy, that's a terrible picture, try to go to the next one. Well, those didn't come out great, did they?
Nope.
I did discover something that I think works. I did research on it. And it's a thing called the EMP Shield. Anybody ever heard of that? EMP Shield. If you want to find out about it, go to empshield.com. They have these things that you can purchase. It looks like this, except it's not all squiggly. They're shrunk. And you can buy them for your car. You can buy them for your house. And you hook them up to your car, you hook them up to your house. And if you're out and EMP happens, this thing clicks, it saves your car, and you still have a running car. They run about $400, but you know, just think about that. And if you're gone somewhere and it EMP happens, you can get home. And you know, and I know a lot of questions. I have a billion questions. How does that work? How can that work? I can't think. Call the company and you talk to them. Every question you have, they answer. It's been tested. The government buys stuff from them for EMP stuff, so it's good. And they have it for your house too. You can buy one for your house. It'll protect your house. If your electronic equipment is plugged in, like your radio equipment is plugged in, now you can get them for your antenna, but you need to have your antenna disconnected. If an EMP happens, connected to the house will protect your radio equipment and everything else in your house. And you can say, well, you know, what's going to do? Well, if you have a generator, your generator will still work in your house and keep it going. Go ahead, the next one.
That was it.
No? No, the garbage cans aren't in there?
Huh. Nope, that's all you sent me.
Huh, okay, well, I took some pictures of a Faraday cage that I made with the garbage can. I have a garbage can, metal garbage can. And I put stuff inside, the cardboard inside, and I put my electric generator in there and a transformer in there and all that stuff, which you can use for any of your radio equipment. And Bob is gonna take over from here, because we want to get done by 8, and the signal is protected. I also brought this. This is, I don't know the official name, but it's like a Faraday, this is like a blanket.
EMP cloth.
EMP cloth, yeah, and it, you can cut it and I wrapped it around my equipment and then stuck it into the Faraday cage that I made, so that if anything gets through, this will finish it off, protecting it. And so I put stuff of value in there, and believe it or not, this wasn't that expensive. And so those things work. And like I said, I know everybody has questions when you're talking about the EMP Shield. I don't make any money out of it, so don't worry about that. I'm not selling it, just telling you that this thing works. And if it doesn't work, well, I guess I can't sue them, can I? Yeah, but anyway, so we need to be thinking ahead and protecting ourselves and our equipment, our families, and be ready to put some of this stuff away so that if something does happen, we'll be ready to communicate with each other with our attacks that we have and the things that we've been doing on the side where we can communicate with each other. It's nice. If you don't have your radio, then you're not going to get a hold of anybody. The only thing that will work would be your landline phone, if anybody even has those anymore. A landline phone, that'll work. Yeah, you don't even know what that is anymore, do you? So anyway, my desire is just to cause us to think, okay, what if that does happen? Am I prepared for that? What can I do to soften the blow? And what can I do to protect myself? Bob?
You're on.
I need both hands, so I'm not gonna use
Oh,
that.
okay.
Hi, kids. Hi, Bob. We're gonna build a garbage can Faraday cage right before your very eyes. So I have some things here. Radios. So basically, the garbage can Faraday cage, super simple. I went out, I bought this really bitchin' Home Depot garbage can, small garbage can. Ash can, garbage can, whatever.
Water bucket.
Or that. So they say, and I don't know because I'm not an expert, but you want to insulate the inside so you don't lay your electronic equipment at the bottom of this thing, touching metal and having it conduct through your stuff. Jim has had some experience with this, but he can't talk about it. So what I did, you've got on the outside here, got this. I ran tape on both sides. Contractors metal tape, aluminum tape, up and down both these seams to kind of electrically seal it, or cut out some cardboard. We're gonna test out a few things here. This one here is an old EMP bag that I bought years ago. I was keeping my KX3 in here and putting it in another garbage can, just in case. I could pass this one around if anybody wants to. And they make those in tons of different sizes.
Hand me the blanket.
What we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn on.
Channel mode.
I'm gonna plug in my Chi-Com radios, and they're not Baofangs. Oh, there's a TID radio and a talk pod. Hello. 1, 2, 3. What's going on?
Need a Baofeng.
I should. There we go. Okay. So put one in there, and you could hear the squelch tail. And I'm on a GMRS frequency, so I could care less. If you put the top on, normally you would think it's tight. You would think that it seals. I put that on. Hello, 1, 2, 3. You can still hear it. If, on the other hand, I take off the antenna, simple act of no antenna. If I key it up right now, you can hear it. This is an attenuator. Yes. That was.
Getting into the PA.
Oh,
Okay, you can't hear me now
You got an antenna on.
because it doesn't have an antenna on it. But if I key it up like this with the top off, you can hear me, even with the antenna off. I don't know how that works. So anyway,
It does protect it.
yeah. So two ways. One of the other things, do you have a phone? You can call my phone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw my phone in here. And ringer's on. Printer's up. Okay. All my phones.
Ready?
This is probably the worst. Okay, so it still hears me.
That's still ringing.
It's still ringing.
Here, put the lid back on again.
Well, it's still gonna hear you.
Didn't when I called earlier.
Okay. It still hears you.
Well, I think we probably loosened up that thing, because I realized it and it, didn't go through.
Well, we
If you
can make
grounded it-
more.
If you grounded that would not do that. If you what?
I grounded the can.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Garbage shields are useless unless you got them grounded.
okay.
I can say that.
I'm not grounding it though.
Yeah, it should be grounded.
What was I going
You're
to?
gonna throw the blanket.
Oh, yeah. Where is that bag?
Right here.
No, the
bag's right here.
the big bag.
The cold storage grocery bag.
Funny situation.
Fix the camera.
Oh, there you go.
So. Throw Mr. Phone into the bag. Go ahead and call it. You can still hear it. Oh, and that's an EMP bag that you bought. But if I throw that in here, now I'm really attenuating. There you go.
But that's low power. That's not EMP.
True, but you know what? I'm not a freaking engineer. I'm an old cop.
It doesn't matter, it's still an EMP.
It
Well,
won't,
engineer or a garment collector, EMP.
it won't all go through, that's the thing,
This might doubling up and doing something is better than doing nothing. And going, well, it's an EMP. What am I gonna do?
It won't be any worse off if it doesn't work.
If it doesn't work, oh well. If it doesn't work, he blew his money on an EMP shield. And I blew $14 on a garbage can.
Well, and I found out too that when you take the lid off 2 or 3 times, it actually opens up space around that.
Now,
That thing.
one way you can kind of half fix some of this stuff is with the metal tape. And I could go around here and seal this thing up. It does work better when you go ahead and seal that up. The only problem is every time you want to get into this, you got to cut it open or you got to take it off. So there's also what is that stuff called? It's an electrical gasket. And you could get some of that electrical gasket material. You could line the inside of your garbage can lid with that, and that supposedly helps greatly. There was a guy that I watch, the EMP doctor on YouTube. He had some good information. Oh, that was smaller one. Oh, smaller EMP bag.
Didn't even know it was there.
Didn't even know it was there. So you can get them in a ton of different sizes, ton of different flavors. Here's a good one. These little pocket things. This does a really good job of blocking everything. Made for a phone, call my phone. I'm trying to do this in like 5 minutes or less.
You're over.
Am I over?
You got fire.
Hmm?
So that's just with that sitting there.
I was
Yeah.
gonna mention, when I worked for AT&T,
Yeah.
our earth stations were completely covered in copper. And the doors, they had fingers that grabbed, so they had to be very quiet. But they always stored extra radios in Faraday type containers. Because you never know, when you're at home, you remember to put this thing in your Faraday can every night when you go to bed.
Yeah.
So, but what I was gonna say is what we did is we did store extra radios in things like that. So if somebody got us, you don't know when it's gonna happen. You can reach in there and get something out that hasn't been hit.
Yeah.
And it's usable. That's what you'd wanna do.
These are generally made so you could, I mean, everywhere you go right now, everybody's carrying one of these. So, I mean, it's a tracker. Whoever is in charge, whoever's doing the intelligence, they've got, you know that they've got all of our information, our call logs, everything, if they want it.
Bank account numbers,
Everything. So at least if you want to disappear, you put your phone in one of these and you
Never take it
disappear.
out.
How much are those?
This was $14 on Amazon.
What's it called?
It's like a EMP bag for a phone.
By the way, I just spent 3 weeks in Europe, came back into the United States on Saturday. So I go to immigration, to show my passport. And the immigration guy says, I don't need your passport, just stand in front of the camera. Stood in front of the camera, said, okay, you're good, come on in.
Yeah.
Total facial recognition, didn't need to look at anything.
Yeah,
Have you done any experimenting with, putting food in microwave ovens and stuff like that?
I have, and it didn't work.
Didn't taste very good either.
This, these cans is, from everything that I've read, everything that I've watched, everything that I've played with today, trying to get this thing to work. This is nothing more than an attenuator. So if you can attenuate the signal low enough, you just might save some equipment.
So if you were to put something in that bag and then put it in there.
And that's my plan,
Yeah.
is to put it in the bag, then put it in here, and I stand a much better shot of
Grounded.
having it,
Grounded.
yeah, and grounded.
Yeah.
And Jim, how would you ground this?
How would I ground it?
Yep,
Most of the people in this room don't have enough money to do it. Okay, I'm just telling you.
well, I
We
mean,
had a Faraday shielded cage. Okay,
mhm,
and I was there when they built it. The copper wire was the copper screening, like you put on your, in the old days, they put copper screening on your windows. Yeah, copper mesh. That was the cheap part. When they got ready to ground the system, that's where they spent about $275,000 doing it to be effective.
Can't you just put a
So-
rod on the ground?
Everything that you've done there will help you. Okay, everything that you've done there will help you. Even if
I don't know if it'll help with a weapons grade, high spectrum.
if it's
Yeah.
big enough, we're probably all pretty screwed, to be honest with you. I
Break
think
out
there's
the
nothing,
loincloth.
there's nothing wrong with taking these types of precautions. But there is no guarantee. I mean, you put it in the trash can. I picked it up personally, if I did. I don't know, how do people on ground systems for their antennas here? Okay, what do you got in the ground for an antenna?
Copper rod,
Okay, copper rod, how many of them?
one.
Okay. What are you running into the shack off that? Are you running like a 3-inch braided copper?
No,
Okay.
I'm running just a copper piece of wire because
What I'm saying is that the most amateur radio operators, and I've been doing this for 68 years, the majority of amateur radio operators, including myself, does not have, if you want, a really effective ground system. And okay. If your antenna gets hit with lightning, okay, the kind of ground systems that we have here that are in this room are probably gonna be pretty ineffective. The best thing that you can do in an electrical storm is unplug everything and get your antennas off your radios. That's the best thing that you can do. Okay, because if you don't, you're gonna either get struck and it's gonna come down the feed line, or the pole out back is gonna get hit, and it's gonna come down the feed line. You see what my point is? Kelly will tell you, out of the radio station, what kind of grounding system they got out there.
Yeah, more like $250,000.
Yeah. See, that's what my point is. Our a grounding system like yours, is it effective? Yeah, to a degree. For your antennas, for ham radio use. Yeah, to a degree, it is. I mean, I have a grounding system, it's just some, I think, number 10 coming from an 8-foot ground rod. Well, it's really not quite that, because I went down and hit rock.
Yeah.
But, it is about that much of it sticking out of the ground, okay? Is it effective? It would be effective if, say, over on 7th Avenue, the power lines took a strike. It'd probably be effective then. As far as the our upcoming, or the EMP, for lack of better words, getting to me. It helps with straight around. If my tower gets hit by a bolt of lightning, okay, and I speak from experience on this. When I lived in California, my tower got hit by lightning. All right. And I saved absolutely zip. And I had a better ground system there than I probably had 3 ground rods in there. Okay. Not only did it do that, but it also burnt the tower. And guess what happened to the tower?
Fell on your
It actually did. It actually fell on my house. And the antenna, the six element tri-bander I had, was crawling all over my 68 Plymouth Roadrunner.
Gavin Newsom installed.
Yeah, but
It was deuce, yes, yeah. But what I'm saying is, everybody should ground your station the best you can, okay? And the best you can do is just hope you don't get hit by lightning. A single wire ground in the house, coming in and you got your equipment grounded, is gonna help you if it hits nearby. But I want to tell you something, I've got a lot of friends that got a lot of big antenna systems. And they get hit and it costs them. And they got.
So just unplug the antenna.
Pardon?
Unplug the antenna.
Unplug the antenna, that's your best choice. Your best choice is unplug the antennas. When I first boom I hear, I walked in the radio room, I took the 2-meter antenna off, the 6-meter antenna, and the HF antenna off the HF antenna off the tuner. And next thing I do is I pull the plugs. I've got 3 strips in there and I just pull the plug out. And
So do you disconnect the ground wire?
no, you leave ground wire on.
Even with the direct hit, you don't think it can back to the grid?
Yeah, I'll probably burn the house down, but I'm not pulling out and disconnecting the ground wire. But you also
One thing that we,
you also want to have your feed line physically distanced from your radio.
You don't wanna just
unscrew. Let me ask this question. This is an interesting topic. Has anybody ever sat in the shack during a windstorm or a windstorm and disconnected the antenna and watched the coax connector arc across from the
Static electricity. Static electricity.
Yeah. Hey, and we're near an EMP.
One thing about by the way, the MP Shield, they have it's also good for lightning strikes in the house, and I think it's a $250,000 backup. So if your house, if it doesn't stop
Burn
it,
the house down.
the house down. So anyways, that's a good thing. Yeah.
We can't leave this conversation until we talk about all tube radios.
Yes.
Because the EMPs they affect the solid state
Right,
equipment.
yes.
But old fashioned all tube radios like my Johnson Viking 2 and my Hammerland HQ 180, they probably still work.
Yeah.
After an EMP.
They most likely will.
Yeah.
Unless they're.
Well, it's just like your car.
Yeah,
If
right. Yeah.
if you have a
just
car,
have it in storage.
if you have a car that doesn't have the new, electronic stuff in it, what, 67 or whatever thing, it'll work fine still, you know?
And if you really connection, what I would recommend everybody
Yeah.
to have a tube transmitter and a tube receiver available to them. That's you can wipe everything in I could take all that solid state stuff I got, it'll take that out. But I have several tube receivers and several tube transmitters.
And you have to be careful because they made a bunch of hybrid stuff in the
Yes.
70s and 80s that have solid state. Part of the circuitry is solid state.
Oh,
So those would get like your Kenwood 830 and your 520 and stuff like that. But
yeah.
stuff before that was all tubes. That's the kind of stuff you want to keep around.
Especially for you old folks there. Okay, anybody have any questions or comments?
That your tube radios aren't plugged in when that happens?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you would have.
Well, yeah, that's the assumption is that you're not gonna have plugged in the wall when the EMP hits.
Right.
I mean, that's just.
Like mine are.
Mine are in boxes upstairs.
I called tonight again. I called for the MP shield and I asked them, I said, okay, people have a question. And the question is, if your radio stuff is plugged into the wall and an EMP happens, isn't it gonna go on the line and all that stuff and damage all that? And they said, no, what it does is that EMP thing, it breaks in like 20 nanos of a second, faster than it can do it. What happens is when it hits it, it breaks it, and so that it takes that power that's normally gonna heat up all the stuff. It's not there. There's not enough to heat it up and it doesn't damage it. And so that's, for me, it cost me $1,000 to get 2 cars in my house. And you know what? I'd rather pay $1,000 and that would work. If it doesn't work, the government's gonna steal it anyway down the road when they go to digital currency. So, might as well you spend it for something. But anybody have any questions or comments or something?
Probably another philosophy that is available. Okay,
I like that one.
all right. Yeah, that's a good philosophy. Okay,
Yeah.
the other philosophy is if this thing hits, this huge EMP hits, and it's as bad as we believe it could be, you want to be, at my age, I'm 83. I'm thinking, oh, well,
Just go on.
screw it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But we got
I'm
kids.
83 and I'm just gonna say, I lived a good life,
Yeah.
met a lot of nice people.
But I got
I've
kids and I got
enjoyed
grandkids, Okay, we gotta shut her down here. Go ahead, Matt first.
So there's a lot of really good information on R56 grounding. It's kind of, it's what we use in the OR industry. So I built a lot of sites with a lot of grounding. We did whole sites out the door for under $100,000, including towers and buildings.
Yeah.
And air conditioners and all that kind of stuff. So I think grounding can be done the right way pretty cheap. It's called CAD welding and you put a couple ground rods on your tower, you link it to your building, and you do an interior ground ring. There's some thoughts on whether you tie them together, you leave the end untied. I've got a couple of, that's some pictures I can share of that. So I'm R56 certified through Motorola and went off to school for that.
It sounds like maybe we have something we can talk about on one of the next.
Yeah, so I think, that was easier than ATAX, Bob, just because I had that information, I can show some pictures and
Yeah,
I think there are some really pretty.
Well, thank you for volunteering.
yeah, all in favor? Hey,
These kinds of things we can do for grounding and,
Okay.
and that's consideration, but Burley Butte, for instance, I take lightning strikes on that. At this time of year, like every month. And the radios were fine. I would lose the stinking phone card. Yeah. Coming in. So I could no longer remote control the system. I called the phone company, it's like, something wrong with your grounding. They said, no, our grounding is perfect. And I said, okay, the next lightning strike lost it again. So what we did is we